I did not press. Did I press go live? I did. All right. Hey, you got Adam and you got SlippinJimmy, and you got basically a Wayne's World style edition of a Friday night outlier show.
Party time.
Show. Party time.
Excellent.
Yeah. CJ, how are you doing, man?
I was doing a lot better about an hour and a half ago before David Peterson decided to, give up, 16 runs. Yeah, man, other than that, I'm good. Good couple of weeks of NFL that we've had, I know, under our belt. But to be honest, man, you and I were texting this morning. Kind of wanted to talk some baseball before we get into some NFL stuff, just because I think there's some interesting future markets there that we can kind of attack here before the playoffs.
I agree. All right, so I know that you got some. We're gonna talk a little bit of MLB. I'm just pulling some things up. Oh yeah, here comes Rogue. I'm gonna put up on my screen. I'm gonna put on my screen the wild card standings MLB. So give me 1 second. All right, and let's see what happens. Boom. Here, actually, I'll make us normal side. There you go. All right. So let's kind of talk about a couple things here. We're gonna go right into some MLB. We're gonna do some MLB for you guys, and then you basically have to watch us play on our computers and figure out some NFL stuff. But yeah, as CJ said, it's been a good honestly, I'll be honest, like really, really good week 2. Which made me feel pretty confident and stuff, especially on the sides, because I haven't been as good on NFL sides as I am this year in 2 weeks with a small sample. Still figuring out some props, and it is what it is, but yeah, feeling good about that. And let's kind of get into some baseball, because that's kind of our bread and butter. We only got a week left. I see Vital the Dapper Capper is here. I see Rogue is here. I'm really surprised Trevor has not come on and said what's going on. Oh, look at this. We have Ghost admin on this. This is great. As the outlier YouTube is replying to things. I love it. Okay. So, all right. So immediate thoughts. We have 10 games left of the season. Let's talk about the NL. Phillies and Dodgers probably have 1 and 2 locked up. What are you kind of thinking is going to happen with the wild card? I know if people have watched us, you have some Mets futures. If you watched us in July, we gave out Mets to make the NLCS at 16-1. Now Mets to win the NL is like 12-1. So and we also bought way too much stock in the Cardinals, but we're gonna and the Giants and the Red Sox, but we're gonna forget about all three of those.
It was the Tigers all along. Apparently, we'll talk about them.
It was the Tigers all along. Okay, so NL. What are you thinking? What kind of overall kind of thoughts are you looking at right now? And I know you have odds up in front of you. We're using the green book with some odds in front of us right now.
So I will say right now, I'm looking here at both at DraftKings and FanDuel. I don't see it to make the playoffs market on either of those right now. So I'll just see if it's up on MGM. I'm assuming they're probably though they are not listing those markets until each night's games action finish till the end of the season, just because of the variance and the swing that some of the results could have. So I'll see. I'll try and kind of go around here if I can find some odds. Division ones, I mean, I think I'm kind of looking. DraftKings does have divisions. I mean, nothing that like you would be surprised on. I mean, I think the only one that's like, I guess if you want to get really frisky and take the Padres 18-1 to win the division right now, they are 4 games back?
Let's take a look at it. Let's actually do this. Might be a good way to do this is go division by division and see if there's anything we like in it.
Yeah.
NL East, Phillies are getting the division. Brewers already clinched the division.
Yeah.
Dodgers are clinched a playoff spot, but they're 4 up on the Pods. There's about 10 games or whatever left. The Dodgers are rolling right now. Despite not having any pitching, they are rolling. 12-1. Is it worth a shot? Probably.
No, Padres is 18-1. 18.
Probably. I gotta be honest. 18-1. I don't hate it. And you as a Mets fan, it probably like hits your heart like a little bit because there's been multiple September collapses. But the reality is that this Dodgers team has a lot of problems when it comes to pitching, and it wouldn't surprise me if they suddenly skid it out and we're just like, and things happen. 18-1 is, it's not at the poison number territory. Poison number territory at this point is stuff that you're going to see that's 10-1 as the second longest, as the second odds to whatever it is. You're going to see a heavy favorite, and then you're going to see 10-1 just frozen sitting there. That is a poison odd line because that line is literally meant for you to bet it because it does not have a chance. See Jackson Churio, Rookie of the Year. I believe a Lindor is up still in that same kind of range. So like, don't bet
that 10-1 is on. So Padres is 10-1 to win the NL West on MGM. It's 18-1 on DraftKings. So there's,
all right. Well, so then there's a discrepancy.
There.
Yeah, there's a discrepancy. Yeah. I don't hate it. The 10th of a unit on it. It's great. Okay, continuing to move through. AL East. Did the Yankees have this one done, or the O's doing this?
I'm seeing O's at 14-1.
They have no more games left against the Yankees, I assume.
I thought they I think they have a 3-game. No, they have a 3-game set. I thought.
If they do, then that's it. Then you got to bet the O's.
I'm looking at. I'm almost positive they have one more set against them. I'm not seeing that up on. Let me look on MGM. I am not. No, they do not have one for MGM. The only one I'm seeing right now is DraftKings is 14-1. And if I go look at the Yankees schedule, just to double check here. So they are playing the Oakland A's in a game that I also have the Yankees -2.5 on later this evening. Let me just double check. All right, so they are finishing a series here with the A's. Yes, so they have a 3-game homestand next against the Orioles.
Okay.
Yeah,
and they are,
and then they end with the Pirates.
Okay, and so they're 4 up. And what did you say the number was?
14-1.
14-1 for the O's to come back and win the AL East, and they have a 3-game set against them.
They have a 3-game set with the Yankees.
Yeah, that's a bet.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
I don't like how the O's are playing, but that's a bet. A quick reminder that the O's are the 5th worst team in MLB record-wise since mid-June. But that is still a pretty nuts number. Okay. AL Central, it's done. I was on Guardians Island before the season. I was on Guardians Island during the season, and I'm still on Guardians Island, but there are some interesting things that go on in this division that we can talk about in a second. AL West, it's done. I don't care that it's only 5 games, like 5-game lead. The Astros they're ready. And now we can turn our attention to who is making the playoffs in the AL of this gaggle of the Royals, the Tigers, the Twins. And here, let me look at the wild card because that'll make it a little bit easier. We got the Orioles, the Royals, the Tigers, and the Twins right now in the spots. Mariners 2 back, Red Sox 4 back. I think all these teams are out of it. I don't actually think the Mariners are in it, despite anything that's going on there. What do you think is going to really happen? Do you think it's just staying the course? Like, what's going to happen here?
I mean, I do think so. Again, you got to go look at the schedules for each of these teams. So let's go and check for Detroit. I would have loved to have seen. I wish I could go back and see like what their odds were at the trade deadline after trading Flaherty.
They were like it was like 9-1. It was like 9-1 because they were hovering around like 500 all year. They just
and that's the weird thing. I mean, the Tigers, like conceivably before the season, a lot of people had said like they could be a dark horse team this year, like that this was a roster that could maybe make a run as a wild card at the postseason. And they just kind of were just 500 for pretty much the entire first 4 months of the year. And really, honestly, the first 5 months. It's just they got like super hot down the stretch. So I'm looking at their schedule here. So they got their ass kicked by the Orioles today. They have got. However, they get a nice spot against Povich tomorrow, and then they get Suarez on Sunday. So those are definitely winnable games.
I mean, I thought all of them were winnable games because I don't think that the O's have been consistent.
Yeah,
but
they played. Well, they
I
had
was
Burns tonight, but that was the only.
Burns has been great. Burns has been like the last couple of weeks. He's been kind of down, but I loved him tonight.
Yeah. No, I think what was it? We got him. I played that one with you.
Yeah, we had it like plus 155, and close at like 143. Like
let's look real quick. So if you look at this, so Scooble is set to start two more starts.
Okay.
So let's pencil. Let's just say we pencil in for 2 wins. If Scooble starts, they're going to win those 2 games. They are, and good news for the Tigers, they end the season against the White Sox. So they will get Flexen is projected to start, and then Sean Burke is the second starter for the White Sox. So I'm looking at Fangraphs here. I mean, just Fangraphs win probability. I'm actually kind of surprised. I mean, I guess they have them at 45.2% for tomorrow against Povich, 41.5% with Montero against Suarez on Sunday. Every single game, though, from that point on, again, this is just strictly on the Fangraphs projections, they should be favored. They will be playing Tampa at home in a 3-game set, and then they will be playing the White Sox at home to finish the series in a 3-game set. So if we look at then the Twins, I'm going to pull up their schedule here.
Who, by the way, the Twins are tied right now, I believe, with the Red Sox. And Seattle's in the lead, and Detroit is lost or did lose. So actually, Seattle's going to gain a game either way. Because Detroit's going to lose.
Lost.
So because Detroit lost. So,
so we're going to have to look at Seattle too. I didn't really want to.
We will have to. They're making themselves relevant here.
Yeah. So let's look at Minnesota. So Minnesota, they've got 2 more at Boston. Those are both, I guess, I would say coin flips. They got Cutter Crawford tomorrow and then Pivetta on Sunday. And they are throwing out Zebby on Sunday. So that's we'll see. That's probably an L, right? So then they have a 3-game set against Miami and then a 3-game set against Baltimore at home. I mean, I definitely – all right, so just looking at just those 2 teams, I definitely like Detroit's schedule better between those 2. I know Baltimore, there's a chance that their season, they already could have the division, it's over. But as we just pointed out, I mean, if they come out of that Yankee series and somehow they play well, it's still in the realm of possibilities they're going to be wanting to try and play in that series against Minnesota. And then let's go look at the Mariners. So if I go look here. All right, so Mariners schedule up here. Again, this is just on Fangraphs that I'm looking at. But so Mariners have they will have 2 more against Texas. They've got Scherzer and Heaney. To me, those are both very winnable games. And then they have a 3-game set at Houston, and then they end with the A's. And to be honest, A's are one of those teams that I wouldn't be surprised if they could play spoiler there in the last series.
Yeah, the A's are gonna keep playing, and they're gonna keep playing. So Seattle is a tougher road. I would argue. Just I do think that Texas is dying. They just shut down Josh Young. Seager's obviously not playing. I believe Josh Smith has now been elevated to the cleanup spot, which is saying a lot. So, so I guess here's a bigger picture so that everyone doesn't just look at us like who can make the playoffs. If you have the odds in front of you, do you have odds because what the idea with any of these is, all right, if someone gets in who makes the run, who's positioned to make the run? So because there's usually a wild card team they just do this. List out who's got interesting odds for winning the AL out of any of these teams.
Yep, that's what I just got up right here. So, all right, so I'm going to give you guys the odds from FanDuel and from DraftKings. So for FanDuel, I out of those teams we just talked about, right? So we're
Yep.
just going with those three. Mariners are 100-1 to win the AL. Detroit is 32-1. Minnesota is 12-1. That is definitely incorrect. Minnesota should be longer.
Minnesota is 12-1 to win the
AL. They have the same odds as the Royals right now, which I don't necessarily agree with.
I don't think so either.
Okay, so that's on FanDuel. DraftKings, the odds are Mariners are 150-1.
Mariners are 151 to win the AL.
150-1 to win the AL.
That's just, you have to bet.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's crazy because they're going to be one game back from a playoff spot. They're going to be one game back from a playoff spot after tonight.
That's available. Detroit is 25-1, and I'm looking back.
For those watching, JT Realmuto hit a home run. I believe Porter is on. We talked about this morning. Taylor, if you're watching this, is the guy who I did not take. And so, yeah.
Minnesota is 13-1. And then if I go look, let me just see. I pulled up Caesars, but Caesars futures are usually pretty terrible. Let's look at American League winner. Do they have American League winner? I don't. Oh, wait, here we go. Pennant. Here we go. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Same price as it looks like on the AL that FanDuel has. Mariners 100-1, Tigers 25-1, Twins 12-1. Yeah, Twins 12-1. I wish I could bet a price on no there, but yeah, I mean, I would say I guess the Tigers are a little bit interesting. I just feel like if you're getting 150-1 on the Mariners, just throw a few bucks on that.
Yeah.
I think that's probably your best price out of all three of them.
Yep. I agree. And I don't really like taking World Series stuff because it just you kind of don't leave yourself a lot of room to navigate in there. And basically at the World Series, it's generally they price them pretty close. So, okay. So there's that. NL. Is there anything in this wild card? This wild card is really coming down to the Pods, Diamondbacks, Mets, and the Braves. And so these teams are going forward.
Diamondbacks I think they were up 3-0 when I last checked on Milwaukee. Let me look at the scores. I'm pretty sure Gallen was having a good night so far.
He just gave up a bunch and then he fell apart.
Oh, did he?
I know because I had his case.
Okay.
I know I had his case, which completed a nice reverse sweep of everything. I
had his case tonight too. Oh, that is very unfortunate. Okay. Well, yeah. So they could actually lose this game. They're up 4-3 right now. So yeah, we were talking about this.
It's 5-4 now.
5. Okay. Oh, is that 5? Okay. All right. Yeah. Fangraphs does not have the most up-to-date scores then. Yeah. Either way, I mean, I think so. This is going to come down to what was the score of the Braves game currently?
Braves lost to Miami.
So the Braves did lose. Okay.
So it's going to be moot with the Mets.
Yeah. So Mets will. All right. Let's just assume scores remain the same, and Arizona pulls this out, right? So Arizona's schedule is also not easy, though, from what I remember looking at the end of their season. Let me see, because I know that. Okay, so for everybody that's not, I mean, I know this by heart because I'm sadly an idiot for being a Mets fan. But the Mets have 3 against Atlanta after the rest of this Philly series, and then they have 3 at Milwaukee to end the season, but Milwaukee may not have anything to play for in that series.
Milwaukee's going to have their stuff clinched, so it's probably going to be a whatever.
So Atlanta, however, though, will have to play Kansas City, who will have something, I believe, still to play for in that final weekend. So that is also, that's not an easy 3 games for them. Arizona, I don't like Arizona's schedule here at all. So Arizona's still got to finish the rest of their series with Milwaukee. They do get Savale tomorrow, so that's probably a W. But
he's been better lately.
Yeah, I know. I guess I can't shake some of the early stuff from early in the season,
Like-
but you are, yeah.
Like he has been. Let me look at his last 3 starts. Yeah, Stips down.
Have been better.
Knees are up. Barrels are down.
All right, so maybe that's not quite as a gimme, but then Diamondbacks close. So they close with the Giants. It does not look like they will have to face Snell. I'm seeing Birdsong, Webb, and Ray as the projected starters there. And then they close their last series, which this team will also have something to play for, which is the Padres. They have to play the Padres, and it's looking like Perez, Darvish, and King. All of those games, according to Fangraphs, are going to be around 50 to 55% win probability for Arizona.
All right. So getting into big pictures that we don't get to know the other stuff because we got all these people that are watching. All right. If you had to say that give me 2 bets that you like from the NL side postseason wise, or teams that you might buy that you're looking at.
Well, right now, so again, we don't have markets to make the playoffs.
Sure. Well, just give me 2 teams. Give me teams you're buying. That's a better way.
Yeah. So teams that I'm buying. Well, I was getting to that though. Teams that I'm buying is I would absolutely buy the Braves right now.
Okay. I agree.
I actually think if you're a Braves buyer, this was kind of the perfect scenario tonight.
Yep.
That they still lost and they're only 2 games back. I mean, they control their own destiny to make the playoffs.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that the Braves are absolutely a buy in this scenario. And then if I'm looking at just like the NL, the problem is the Braves to win the NL is not necessarily to me a great, an awesome price. It's 13-1 on FanDuel, 16-1, maybe a little bit interesting.
The Braves are probably the only one that I would pick to win the World Series versus winning the because they're going to have a path that's going to have to be a wild card path, and so it just doesn't. And they're built for a ceiling. They're like they're 2 years removed from winning it all. So like I just think everybody's healthy at the right time on that team that you're getting. And preseason they were 8-1 to win the World Series.
Yeah, no, for sure. They're 18-1, by the way, to win the NL right now. Yeah, so
that's a great, which I love. I think that's still a great
18-1 on MGM. I do like that. So this kind of gets me to my other point, because I want to get back real quick to the Astros.
Sure.
Which on a bet here, which is that. So I think you and I think we're both in agreement that this is. Like the Phillies to me are clearly the best team, and the best at least suited in terms of their rotation to make the World Series. Yes. Now that doesn't, obviously crazy shit happens. They should have made it last year, so anything could happen here. But I think the Phillies are in a year that we haven't really had necessarily a great team. They're certainly the best team that's remaining. I also think that the Astros are maybe being a little bit slept on in the AL. Like they're going to win the West. Like we said, like we definitely know they're going to make the playoffs. They're likely going to play that team that makes it in last, which is going to be either Minnesota or Detroit, which they should have some advantages in that series as well. And then that means they're going to play a Guardians team that, hey, I mean, good for the Guardians making the playoffs, but if they can't hit, I mean, Houston, I think just matches up really well against them, given the Guardians' struggles with their starting pitching. So the bet I'm looking at here is if you can look for an exacta, so name the finalist price. And I'm just kind of scrolling down to see like what's the exact finalist price for. I'm seeing Astros and Phillies at 12-1.
I saw 14. I saw 14-1 on MGM the other day because I threw a free bet at it.
Yeah, I would say like that is kind of the to me like I'm just trying to look at like FanDuel here. Where's Houston on here? So Philadelphia Phillies, yeah, 12-1
I
on
mean, the
FanDuel.
point that you're making that everybody should hear is that when you get to the playoffs, it becomes 3-man rotations and tighter everything, and that regardless of how the Phillies have played lately, Phillies are the best position to be able to do that because they're technically 5 guys deep that they could put in 3. And Houston just is clicking in the right ways in that sense. The Dodgers have a huge problem in that sense. The Yankees, arguably their most consistent pitcher, is a rookie who's going to potentially walk 6 guys in a playoff game. And the O's aren't really built for a 7-game series. They're built for a 5-game series because they only have 2 pitchers that can go deep. So I think that the inevitable Astros sometimes always comes together, and it's that kind of pricing I think is pretty good on a couple exactas based on what their path is going to be.
Yeah, for sure. I just wouldn't go like again, like I think you and I both like I mean, if I had to pick the team, obviously that I think will win the World Series, yeah, I mean, I think Philadelphia should be the obvious choice. I think it's kind of insane that the Dodgers are actually favored over them. They're 310. Philadelphia's plus 450. But um, to me, I'm like, if you're going to bet the Phillies or you want to back, even if you want to back the Dodgers, whatever, like look for more of like those finalists price to me, like, and look for teams that actually have a 3-man rotation that can make a run. So that's why I was just like, I think that one is interesting with Astros and Phillies to make it.
I agree. All right. So now with that said, let's turn our attention to some stuff for football for this weekend. Bye baseball. We're done with you for a little bit. I mean, I'm still going to get back into baseball after we do this show. And a reminder, everybody, at 11 o'clock Eastern time, 8 p.m. Pacific, the SGPN guys are going to do their show on VSiN. We will end here probably in about 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and you should all go over to VSiN.com and watch them because we trade guests. We do all this. It's very incestuous. It's great. All right. So football. Let's go through a couple sides that you and I like. Let's do, 1 or 2 sides that we both like, and then let's kind of live lab on a couple props. We can't do everything. So actually, do you want to go? What do you want to do? Do you want to go by game and we'll dive into the game and we'll do whatever? Let's pick 3. Let's pick 3 games for people. We can do 3 games in the next 30 minutes. We'll find some sides, totals, and things like that. You pick
I'm
first.
looking at okay. So my first pick here is I'm gonna go with the Minnesota Vikings and the Houston Texans game.
Love it. This Minnesota team that's getting market respect.
Yep. I mean, that has actually that money line has gone down. I believe like opener for that was probably around more like plus 130, and it's moved. So
yeah, I mean, look, this is they're getting market respect. But you tell me your take first, and I'll give you.
Yeah, I think so. There's 2 kind of angles that I may like in this game. I do think that the under is kind of interesting here. I think that this is going to be everything that we've seen from like the Brian Flores team so far is that he's a great schemer and he's going to blitz the shit out of you. And I am curious to see, like you and I both think like CJ Stroud is great, but they have not faced a defense like this. People are like, wow, the Bears defense really held them down in the second half. Like, I mean, come on, Joe Mixon got hurt, and it's not like Houston really needed to worry about Caleb Williams moving the ball on them either. So I think the under is kind of interesting here at 45.5. But I do really like Minnesota in this one. I mean, obviously, if you're going to bet them, just bet them on the money line. There's no point to me in just taking the points. But
this isn't a what your thoughts Steelers game. You don't need to do 1.5 points.
Yeah, I know you and I have kind of talked about this one, but I just think there's some stuff that Stroud has not seen, especially from Flores' defense, and I think this is a good spot here for Minnesota to back them.
So look, I like Minnesota. I mean, I think we've seen the best version of Minnesota. Keep in mind they beat the Giants. Keep in mind that the San Francisco game was never going to be a good game because just Brock Purdy hasn't done well there. A lot of the Niners haven't done well there. But that being said, I think no Mixon is different for all their ball control. They came out of that They came out of that Sunday game, looked like a little bit beat up. And while Minnesota's getting a lot of market respect, there is one thing to look at on the prop side when it comes to Flores. So Flores's big thing is that he gets corners that blitz. And if you notice, most people go against a Brian Flores defense, you will have actually pretty high passing yardage numbers. It doesn't necessarily mean you win games, but you have very high passing yardage numbers because most of it is corners off the blitz, which usually, if you have a quick release, will leave somebody open. I do think that this Texans team is going to have some problems here. There was a really good comment that was made about how Brian Flores seems to be on like his own personal "let me get all the other quarterbacks" tour right now with his defense. He really is. I mean, look what they've been doing. But it does make me want to take a look at what the CJ Stroud passing number is. So I'm going to pull that up right now. I like the under in this, and I do like the Vikings. I had tried to fade this team as an 0, like I had a bet on them 0-5, which I lost right away. But let me see. I'm going to use my default prop thing for Outlier. So my default prop thing for Outlier is basically the main stats that we usually bet on. So let me see what we got here. And then let me look at CJ Stroud, and then I'm going to probably pull up this. So what's his passing yard? His passing yard numbers. Yeah, see, his passing yard numbers really high. It's like 263, and he hasn't hit that at all yet this year. And so this is basically already baking in the fact that like he probably will do that. I might like longest pass completion. I don't hate that, but I'm going to look at some deep balls. Give me some other things that you're thinking about. I'm going to look at some of the deep ball stuff that is happening with
I think the only other one I would be kind of curious on is Aaron Jones props in this game. They have not necessarily. I mean, I know the Colts are supposed to be like this great rushing team. For some reason, Steichen wanted to throw the ball a lot more against them in week 1. The Bears are not a good rushing team whatsoever. So I did think that there might be some lanes here for Jones to create. I have to kind of go look at some props for him. But Jones was the only other one to me that I was like kind of interested in offensively. The other one too, Adam, is obviously like Nico Collins looked amazing on Sunday night, but I was kind of curious to see like what his previous lines were for receiving and what that has gone up to for this game. If it's going to be 263 for Stroud passing, then
it means you got to 75. He was 66 last week.
That's a lot. And for me, sometimes look, obviously like there's guys, we talk about this, like where the market just continually does not price them correctly. Like this was like in baseball, this was Royce Lewis back in June. Like it took weeks before it kind of caught up. I know he's over that in 7 of 10 games, but I'm just saying that's kind of a big adjustment, especially for a game where I think you and I both kind of like the under. I've noticed, Collins would be one that I would look at.
What I'm seeing actually in here as I got into the stats, like I had my hypothesis and then I dove into stats, and I'm looking at deep throw defense and how they've been doing. All right, so amongst league leaders in deep throw in 20-yard plus completion percentage, they don't get a lot of them don't happen. By the way, something to notice is that Cleveland is very, very bad against the deep throw. I don't know if that's something that we're going to want to talk about, and the ADOT's mid. It actually does seem like they've kind of contained folks a little bit, but if that's the thing to look at is that, because like I sometimes try to look at a guy that you're going to be able to get low on to do high. Like I'm not interested in Nico Collins already at 75 yards. Like I get it, and that's fine. I'm not interested in him at 75 when last week he was 65.
64. I think
64.
It's
I'd rather him
right?
be 69 and do that. I mean, I could see who else, some of the things that I like to look at is who maybe look, I don't hate Nico Collins over longest reception because the reality is you have 75 yards, you're going to have a 25 yarder in there. If he's going to do this. And again, 263 is the passing number. He's hit this all season. He's still staying inside.
That was the same thing you said with like last week. I was big on Bo Nix passing yards last week, and that was one of the things you had pointed out there. It's like you're going to take over passing yards, especially when it's a low number. You got to take over longest pass completion as well,
right?
Because the math just doesn't work without it,
right? I mean, I don't have it in front of me of just how all the and I don't want to get too much into weeds. I like taking a Nico Collins over longest reception. Let's see what his receptions are. His receptions is okay. So his reception 5.5, and it's juiced under, right? So they still think he gets 70 some yards, so it's averaging about 18-ish per. I like the 20. I like the longest reception. And then usually I'll go to Football Guys and I'll take a look at a game log and I'll say, okay, well, how'd they do against this? I don't know. Did anybody on the Niners get like a 25-yard reception last week? Pretty sure they did, but it's I think that this is one of those things where you either want to look at the longest reception on Nico. I'm going to put this in our little thing here. And I actually don't necessarily hate the CJ Stroud completions, because if you have to do quick release and you're getting blitzed off the side, all of these count as passes. So I like it, and I'm getting notes about Syracuse right now. So yeah, I think I might be taking a look at the CJ Stroud completions as another play that I do like in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I that kind of goes with the same sort of game script and idea that I had approaching this one.
Especially since we know that that Cam Akers is who they have to use, and Cam Akers, they probably may not want to use. He already had a big fumble. He had a fumble that got him kicked off the Rams. He had a fumble that he had last week.
Yeah.
Lights the game.
Nearly cost him the game. Yeah, I'm with you. I do like.
Actually, I like that. I think that's my favorite play. I think CJ Stroud passing completions is my favorite play.
Yeah. I like that a little bit better, honestly, than the passing yards one. I could see a scenario also too where, I mean, honestly, similar to the Vikings Niners game last week. Like, I mean, the Texans have definitely been willing to throw the ball. Like you said, they don't have a rushing game that they're going to be able to lean on, so they are going to be they're going to be heavy on Stroud, or they're going to ask him to try and do a lot this week. So. All right, man. Hey, I picked Vikings. I've got another one, but why don't you go and pick the next one here that we talk about a little bit?
Okay. Well, let's talk about the enigma that is this Packers Titans game.
Oh, that was on my list.
That was on your list
to talk about. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about this Packers Titans game because look, last week we were the non-homers and we were on Packers Island and we called the game script perfectly. This week, it's a little different because you can't run funnel on this Titans team, and they're going to make it so Willis has to throw. It's also homecoming. He got drafted by the Titans in their failed experiment before Will Levis. So that being said, though, I understand that Sharps love the Titans this week. I know that there's the whole trend with the kitchen sink games, and I get it. And I've seen the images of Jordan Love practicing. I don't think he's playing, but I can't back Will Levis right now. And when we've talked about that there are kitchen sink games, and kitchen sink games still come down to the quarterback and still come down to the coach. I think Callahan is still figuring out how things really work. The skews that are happening in the game are like these big skew turnover types of things, and then weird game management. And I'm going to take the Packers here. I don't know how they're scoring. I fully admit this. I don't know how they're winning. I don't know how they're scoring and how they're winning this game. I don't know if they're going to grind it out. I really just trust LaFleur here. And I really can't back a quarterback that's 3-8 ATS, 1-1 in his career as a favorite. and just still doesn't look totally comfortable within a system that he's in, on a low total game, on a guy that, look, he wants to bomb it. And this isn't a team I think that's going to let him pace up and bomb it. So I like Green Bay here. I like Green Bay on the money line, to be honest.
Yeah, I want so badly to be contrarian and be with you here, and back Green Bay. To me, on the spread, I can't get there yet on the spread, only because I just keep saying in the back of my head that the Titans also had 2 very winnable games, and also that I can't ignore the kitchen sink trend, and this is literally exactly like it just fits it to a T. Like it's so, even though I'm with you that, like, I think LaFleur, there's an obvious coaching advantage in this one. I also think this line, like, so here's the one thing. If you want to take the points, in my opinion, this is actually a rare game where wait till Sunday, because I actually think this price is a little bit depressed right now, just in the chance that Love does play. I think there could be some Titans money coming in, like, seriously over the weekend. As soon as the news comes out, which again, I would be very surprised if Love plays.
They haven't elevated anybody from the practice squad. Like, they consistently cannot keep doing that, which is telling me that regardless of whether or not he's playing, he's not nearly as hurt as everybody thought he was.
Yeah, totally. But I still think, like, and again, I might feel differently had they lost that game last week, because look, then you have the Packers in the kitchen sink situation. Maybe they are a little bit more prone to putting Love out there, but because they won last week, does give them, like, they've got that game against the Vikings upcoming, that's going to matter more than this game in division. So I think they will most likely stick with Willis. But my whole point being there is, like, I'm not going to be shocked at all if there's a lot of Titans money that comes in tomorrow, Saturday night, Sunday morning. This is already shaded to moving to 3. So if you want the points, wait. I am pretty confident you will get a 3 on Green Bay in this. The one thing, if I'm going to back the Packers, I don't mind the under here at 38.5. Because look, this was the exact type of, the under sailed. It was a fairly no sweat if you bet that last week against them and the Colts. It could have gone over with a Jacobs if he didn't have fumble. But here, the one thing I would say about the under in this situation is that, look, if the Packers are going to win, then they're likely still going to have to make this somewhat ugly, and you're going to have to hope that they are able to kind of control the balls. They're going to at least want to try and keep Tennessee off the field. And the under also does at least account for another scenario that's like, what if Malik Willis just goes out there and just sucks? Like, what if, like last week, what if they, against an actually good defense this time, and they can't run the ball, and Malik Willis does actually really struggle? Then, okay, so if the Titans end up, I don't know, like, if the Titans win this game, I don't think it's going to be the Titans winning this game by, like, it's going to be like a 2-3 point game. I think that, like, there's a lot more, I think, that could go into the long tail of the Titans just, like, winning this game by more than 7 points. And if that's the case, like, I don't mind the under 38.5 there, because it kind of protects you in both scenarios. It can protect you with a Packers close win, or it could protect you just like Willis just can't get the offense going at all. And
there's more scenarios. There's more scenarios where it happens. I'm just looking at, like, they're not even putting up. Yeah, I mean, his passing yards is one.
No love props. Yeah.
Well, yeah. But Malik Willis's stuff is there isn't a world where he's throwing for 200 yards. It isn't like how they want to do this. But what's interesting is that if you look at the Levis stuff, Levis is priced for a very slow-paced game. So Levis is 29 passing attempts. To give you a sense of how low that is, Brissett's was 28.
There we go. They're 45 minutes in.
Yeah. Brissett's was 28. But the point is like, Brissett's was 28 in a game where they were 7-point road dogs. This is a 3-point home favorite, and it's only 28. So it's telling you that that's telling you that it's probably, even though he wants to do it, it's probably not bombs.
Well, wasn't this like your whole point too back in the Packers? Because I know you had said something to me about slow-paced games are games that Levis really struggles in. Like
he does. So
games that are going to be
his ratings on deep throws are great. He wants to pace up, and the problem is that he's not going to be able to pace up. And so I think that it's just better to like look for kind of like a turnover or something like that. I mean, this game is look, this game is like an auto bet when it's at 3 points. It's not a game that I'm going out and I'm like, oh man, I love the Packers, I got to do this. But like, it's one of those games that's super ugly, so it's very interesting to me. And looking at like, what's Will Levis to throw an interception? Like, let me see, like, what is that? He's minus 145 to throw an interception, and his rush attempts is over. Is
3.5.
plus
It looks
money
like
over 3.5. I actually like that a lot. But I like that more than I like anything else. So I don't like. It's just going to be interesting because like I was looking like 17.5 is the first half total for this game, which is nuts. So you know, in terms of the games, I like that. I do like. I think that we're getting. I saw that we were getting some. You know, on the prop side, we're getting like crazy value on DeAndre Hopkins.
oh my God. Yeah, I noticed
things.
that too. I had him actually already. I took him today. Strictly, I mean, it was just a good number.
Like I get it. Like he's hurt. I get it. He hasn't got a lot of targets, but like, you know, if he's not hurt and he's playing, this is a ludicrous number. So, yeah, I like this. Well, actually, so I mean, yeah. So anyway, I do like the Calvin Ridley, the DeAndre Hopkins over 2.5 receptions. I just think that it's too low a number for a guy who thrives in being peppered by targets. Doesn't even need, like, can go deep, but obviously since he's hurt, he might be playing more of a hybrid, you know, slot. Like, look, if you're looking at this, it looks like they're not going to be throwing it really deep. And that might not be the way to win it. So I do like it. That's probably one of my favorite props on this game.
I believe also too, by the way, I mean, take it for what it is, but Callahan had mentioned this week, he had made a point to mention in his presser that they need to get Hopkins the ball more. So
yeah,
I mean, again, take that for what it's worth, but I you know, they're 0-2. I could absolutely see there being some credence there. 2.5 is way too low.
All right. Let's go one more game, and then we'll let people get out of here, and we'll kind of drop some plays.
I mean, my other favorite game on the board to me is still that Broncos game. You know that I can't stay away from this one, which is we're at 6.5. I think if you scroll up, you'll see it. Yeah. Look, kitchen sink narrative a little bit again. 0-2 team. I know this team's on the road. I know Bo Nix looks maybe like slightly better than Bryce Young, which means he's still not a professional quarterback. But this is a big time letdown spot for Tampa Bay coming home in a game that, if you looked at the box score, it's a little bit deceiving. That game against Detroit. I know, Adam, you were on them on the points last week, so props to you for that call. If Detroit converts, you know, 2 more of their red zone opportunities that they had in that game, Detroit should have won the game outright. And I think that,
I mean, I didn't watch it, but like that was all. That also, I mean, this is a huge, like you said, this is a huge letdown spot. So
it's just a big letdown spot. Also, I mentioned this to you in text this week. Sean Payton. First 2 weeks of the season in his career, he's 3-18 against the spread. His teams always start very slow.
Absolutely fair.
You've got a rookie quarterback that had to go to Seattle and play, let's say, at least a average to above average defense, and then he had to come home and he had to play maybe the best defense in the league right now, certainly in a top 5 pass rush. So you've got a lot of injuries on Tampa's side. Vita Vea probably not available for this game. They already lost Winfield. This is a Bucs defense, at least. Again, it's just got a lot of areas where this is going to be an easier matchup for him. And I just think it's too many. stopping myself from saying the phrase that you hate so much.
No,
But,
well, yeah. But there's there's a reason.
yeah.
Like, it is too many points. Like, no,
I
I
think
get
it's
it.
too
Like,
many points here with Denver at 6.5. Yeah.
So, full disclosure, I have Bucks and Survivor. The counterpoint that I'm going to give you is Todd Bowles against rookie quarterbacks, which is almost Belichickian. The third game of Sean Payton's career last year was hanging in there with Miami before Miami dropped 70 points on them. But I think you're right. This is more of a 4-point game. The other thing that worries me, the thing that does worry me a lot for a rookie quarterback on the road against a team, regardless of a letdown spot, but against a coach that is a defensive minded coach, McGlinchey is out. McGlinchey's hurt on the IR. I just don't like any of that stuff happening with a QB. I do think that this is not going to be a pace up game. Which is what Baker wants to play, and it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Which I think is going to benefit them, but it is. I think that this game is. I think this game's going to be closer than people think.
Yeah,
I still think that the Bucks come out, but this is a Bucks win, don't cover game for me.
Yeah, look, one more point on this, and then if you want to, quickly go through one other game, we can. But
I have one that's tied to this that I want to go to for sure.
Yeah, let's do that. The last point I just hear is just say that the look ahead on this game was 4.5. This did get to 7. It did come back as soon as it got to 7. It went to 6.5. But to me, I have a hard time getting a 2.5 point adjustment after a game the Bucks, again, probably shouldn't have won, and the Broncos were probably expected to lose and played a very tough defense. So
that's fair.
Just too much of an adjustment.
So another long spread, but this one has stayed there. I like the Niners to cover a spread.
Is that 6.5 now?
It went down to 6.5 from 7.5.
Wow.
Basically, it stayed there the whole time. I love the Rams. I got a soft spot for that entire team. I love Matt Stafford. I love everything that they had done. I like Sean McVay. As a former LA resident, I'm just a complete and total bro. You're just going to have to deal with it. I like that team. I like what they do. I like all of it. But here's the thing. Despite a laundry list of injuries on both sides, it's like Matt Stafford not having really any offensive line. This line stayed the same, but the total went down, which tells me that the Rams probably aren't scoring a lot of points. I like Tutu Atwell. Shout out Javon if he's around. Javon got me on the Tutu Atwell train. Tutu Atwell is another number 2 receiver. By the way, Tutu Atwell overs are live. Take them. But I still think that the Niners win this game by at least 10 points. I just don't think that the Rams are going to be able to move the ball and score. I think that the way that the Niners are built is a very next man up type of mentality with things like, yes, Kittle is out. Yes, Debo is out. Yes, CMC is out. They've loved Jordan Mason for 2 years.
Is Kittle out?
Kittle's probably out. Ayuk is in there. Jennings just got a contract extension too. I mean, these guys are playing. Nick Bosa's got to go to a Trump rally, so he's not going to probably be playing. No, he's hurt his ribs, guys, but he's I like the Niners. I know it's a scary road high spread number. I like the Niners. I really like Brock Purdy overs. I like it's low. It's at 220, 222, I believe. I like his over passing. He's really just never been below this, to be honest. And I just think that they're gonna kind of dump a little bit on this team. And sadly, I just don't think that this Rams team is really good right now. And they're really hurt, and it stinks, but that's just sort of where they're at. So, and I don't think that Shanahan wants to get into like a grind out game with McVay. So, wherever it is, give me his over passing yardage.
Yeah, I mean, know that Shanahan too has Shanahan's owned.
Wait, is this really? This is 231 now. Dang, if you watch the outlier video that I gave out with everybody, it was 226 is when we had it. All right. Anyway, keep going. I still like it. I still like it to like 245. Like,
yeah, no, I mean, I like his.
He threw for
like
three. Look, he threw for 319 last week in a game he was terrible.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, yeah.
I mean, he threw for 231 in that Jets game when Jordan Mason was
controlled the entire second half.
Controlled the entire second, and still threw for 331. So
yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's weird. This is kind of like a semi-fascinating game to see like the two coaches try and scheme for this one. I just trust Shanahan a little bit more here in terms of like finding ways to get more guys some separation. Like you said, Ayuk is still available. It's not like they don't have anybody on the Niners side. Their line is still fine. And yeah, I was a big Rams backer prior to the year. I had said last year, prior to them going to the postseason, I thought that they were the best team in the NFC. I thought at that point at the end of the year, they were actually better than the Niners. I mean, probably wrong there, but they were definitely cooking by the end of last year. And a lot of that was due to McVay making a lot of adjustments with some motion and throwing shorter at the end of the year. But yeah, I think under 7, man, I would be with you on this. I think that this just we've got 2 hurt teams, but one team has clearly got a lot more problems on the injury side than the other, in my opinion.
It just sucks, but that's what it is.
Yeah, I really wish these teams were both healthy because this would have been a really fun game.
Oh, it would have been a great game. But my biggest thing is like this line still hasn't changed since what it all was. So yeah, that's what I like on this one. It is 10:30. We've done this for an hour. We're gonna drop a whole bunch of plays in this chat for you guys, and we can do this. We got 100 of you that showed up. CJ, what else? What kind of parting thoughts do we have for these people? I'm trying to send them off and tell them to go take a bathroom break and go watch VSiN, and then I'm gonna dive into baseball. If people want to know the secret sauce on how CJ and I do baseball stuff, we go to Baseball Savant and we see who's had a hard hit today, and then we go through it that way. But that's all coming out later. I don't know what you got. You got any final thoughts as we do our little Wayne's World Friday night with everybody?
I mean, this was excellent. To say the least.
I love that you have the hat too. It's just it's so perfect.
When you said that this morning, I was like, I gotta go see. I have a wig somewhere. I just can't.
That's awesome.
I do have the Garf wig somewhere, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess parting thoughts would just be, if you're betting NFL, obviously be careful on sides and totals at this point in the week because most of these lines are pretty efficient. Other than, like I said, if you're really waiting for a key number, wait for it. I'm big on, by the way, Lamar rushing. I
like the Ravens a lot. I like the Ravens a lot.
Yeah, we didn't get to talk about that one. And I still really like the Lions. We didn't really get into that, but I think the Lions, great bounce back spot for them. And yeah, man, go Mets. Can't wait to have my heart broken here in the next 7 to 8 days.
No, well, Phillies finally clinched, so we'll see what happens. Actually, and they gained a little bit closer for their magic number because the Braves lost too. All right, so look, for CJ, I'm Adam. You can follow me at HeyRosenberg. CJ is at Dad's That Bet. SlippinJimmy. Thanks everybody for coming by. We will see you guys soon. We're always popping in the Discord. We're always popping around on here. You can watch CJ on Sunday night doing the look ahead line stuff. Give everybody the details on that one.
Yeah. So it's 9:00 Sunday. I go through as the lines come out from Pinnacle, Bookmaker, as they go out on Outlier. We're going to just go through all the lines, figure out which ones we can try and see where we think the movement's going to be. We've gotten some good CLV on, honestly, for the first 2 weeks. I think we've done really well in terms of just kind of picking games that we think that we're going to get some good CLV and live movement on. So yeah, make sure to check it out. It's good 30-40 minutes, kind of get you prepped for the next week.
Nice. Awesome. All right. Thanks everybody for coming by. We'll talk to you soon. Good luck with your bets.